Hey guys, and welcome back to Mama Doobie. I'm Shelby and I put up videos all about motherhood. In today's video, I'll be sharing 10 activities you can do that will help your little one develop their fine motor skills. It's important that you know that your toddler isn't always going to take to an activity the first time that you introduce it. There's this thing in the Montessori method called following your child. I actually talked about this in my last video, so I'll link that down below if you want to know more about that. But you want to make sure that whatever activities you're doing are what the child is actually interested in. So if your child is interested in climbing things or jumping around right now, they're probably not going to be as interested in sitting down and playing with the toy using those fine motor skills. It sounds to me like that child needs to do something more physical using his larger muscle groups. If that's your situation, then keep this in your back pocket for when your child is interested in those fine motor skill activities. So the first activity actually encompasses more than just one thing. It's all of your fine motor skill toys that you have for your child, like this little ring stacker that I have, or this little toy that I have with these carrots. See what toys that your child actually has, and if it's something that they've never actually played with, maybe try introducing it in a space where there's not a bunch of other distractions. If Lucas had all of these other toys around him that were talking to him and singing to him and lighting up and distracting him, there's no way that my son would ever sit down and play with it. When I introduced the toy, I did it with less distractions, so he really only had that toy to focus on when I introduced it, and then I sat down and I played with it. The next activity that I have for you is using magnets. So I bought a bunch of magnets for my son recently, and I did it so that I could help him learn name recognition of different animals. But I didn't realize when I bought it how much of a fine motor skill activity that they were going to be. My son had trouble getting them off the fridge with his hand and putting them back on flat. They would just fall to the ground when he would try to put them back on the refrigerator. And it took him a few days to figure out how to actually get them back on the fridge. I store them in a tin container so they kind of stick to the sides of that. That also goes into my next activity for you, which is opening containers. This red tin that the magnets are in, Lucas loves opening this container. And opening containers has really been an activity that we've been working with for a long time. I started with this little jar with a twist-off lid, and I would put different toys in it that he was currently interested in so that he would be motivated to open the jar. It's also a good way to bring in a little bit of color introduction. So you could put yellow toys in the jar, or you can put green toys in the jar. So not only opening containers is an activity, but also putting lids on containers. So that brings us to number 4. So Lucas enjoys doing this a lot, and you can level this one up by giving them 3 separate containers with 3 different types of lids and allowing your little one to figure out how to match those lids. This is an activity that my son spent hours doing. So let's move on to number 5, and that would be using contact paper. So if you have any leftover contact paper, that works great, but you can also go to the Dollar Tree and buy some contact paper for just $1 and just stick some toys to that and allow your child to feel the stickiness, which is partially a sensory activity. And so they can feel the stickiness, and they can also try to pull those toys off the contact paper, which is also a great little fine motor skill. Number 6 is buttons. So if you have any toys that have little tiny buttons on it, Lucas has this little truck and he really enjoys pushing the buttons, and you can see how much effort he really puts into trying to get these buttons pushed. So we have this little vehicle, and we also have this little figurine of the Hulk. This was just a little cheap little gift that I got him on his birthday because I thought he would think it was funny. We kind of joke around about Lucas being the Hulk. But there's a button on the back of it. This really helps him build those fine motor skills, and you can use things like your television remote, but things that make sound when you push it really help a lot. So things like a kitchen timer. I don't know if you have any pocket card games that make sounds when you push those buttons, anything like that. It's a great thing to give your child so that they can practice pushing those buttons. Number 7 is nesting bowls. So you probably have these in your cabinet already. A lot of people have mixing bowls as long as they're not glass. But I have a set of mixing bowls, and I've given Lucas the smallest 3 bowls. And I also have these colorful bowls, so I often use them for, again, color introduction. You can also level it up a little bit and do color matching. So you can get some flashcards. Dollar Tree is also a great place for flashcards, but get some flashcards and give them a chance to match the colors. My son has not done this so far, but maybe one day he will. But it's another great way to have a conversation about different colors. Number 8 is ripping paper. So we actually discovered this when we were on vacation in the Florida Keys this past November. If you missed that video, go to my description box and watch it. It was a great time that we had. It was Lucas's first vacation. But when we were in the condo one night, we had an old magazine and Lucas loved ripping that thing up. So he spent probably an hour doing it that night, and we've done it quite a few times since then. And he enjoys either looking at the pictures, but often he really enjoys ripping the pages. And that is a great fine motor skill activity. And these last two are kind of just more daily things that you can do to help your child build those fine motor skills. And one of them is allow your child to feed themselves. Now, Lucas did baby-led weaning. I've got a few videos on that if you're interested in that topic, but he did baby-led weaning, so he really fed himself from the beginning. It's a great way to allow your child to build those fine motor skills and to build a life skill. And then number 10 is really just everyday life. So in your everyday life, there are things you can do to help your child build those fine motor skills. And those include things like allowing them to flip the light switch on and off when you come into a room or leave a room. And another thing that you can do is allow them to flip the pages in a book that you're reading with them, or you can bring them in on picking up toys and putting them back where they belong and things like that. All of those little things where they have to move their fingers and pick things up, those are all great fine motor things that you can allow your little one to do. And that's all the activities that I have for you today. Now make sure that you're subscribed to my channel because I will be putting out another activity video here very shortly of ways that your child can build their gross motor skills. Like this video and make sure you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss it when I do post that video. Don't forget to check out those links in the description below. And also I now have Facebook groups for this channel and for my cooking channel. So again, check the description box. Thank you so much for watching and have a great week.